Water Matters, a podcast where we dive into the critical issues affecting our planet's most precious resource. I'm your host, Ryan, together with
Alora, and today we're discussing a pressing concern: how a lack of knowledge about proper safety practices leads to poor water quality and inadequate hygiene. These are our guests for our podcast. Please introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, I'm Aaron Stoke.
Hi everyone, I'm Ben Telmo.
Hi everyone, I'm Zach Polo.
Hi everyone, I'm Mian Faye Escabiling.
Let's start with the basics. Poor water quality and hygiene aren't just environmental issues. They have serious health implications. Aaron, can you tell us more about this?
In many communities, Ryan, lack of awareness about proper water treatment and hygiene practices leads to waterborne diseases. It's a public health concern.
That's right. And it's not just about health. It affects economic development and social stability. Ben, can you share some insights on this?
You see, in areas with poor water quality, economic growth is delayed due to increased healthcare costs and lost productivity.
Zach, what role do you have or think education plays in addressing this issue?
Education is key. By teaching people about proper safety practices, we can empower them to take control of the water quality and hygiene.
Nian, how can we make this information more accessible to everyone?
I think using social media and community programs can help spread awareness and provide accessible resources for learning about water safety.
Let's move on with some personal experience. Aaron, can you tell us more about a time when you realized the importance of water safety?
Sure, I realized the importance of water when I visited the province of my grandparents, where people spent hours fetching it from a distant source. It made me see how essential clean water is for survival, health, and sanitation. That experience made me deeply appreciate how something we often take for granted can be a critical resource for others.
That's a great point. Ben, what's your experience with water safety?
At home, I've experienced times when our water supply was interrupted due to maintenance or natural disasters, forcing us to rely on stored water. This taught me the value of conserving water and ensuring that our stored water is clean and safe to use, which over time has become a habit for me and my family.
Zach, have you had any experiences that highlights the importance of hygiene in relationship to water?
Yes, there was a time when our neighborhood water supply was cut off due to maintenance that left us without water for 2 days. It made me realize that water is very essential, not only in hygiene but also in life.
Nian, what about you?
For me, I learned a valuable lesson the hard way. I was in a rush and didn't wash my hand after using the bathroom. And then I went on to help prepare food for my family because it was during dinner time. It wasn't until later that I realized I had put everyone at risk of getting sick. It was really a wake-up call for me. Now, I made sure to wash my hands with soap and clean water every time I use the bathroom. It's a simple habit that can make a big difference in keeping ourselves and those around us healthy.
Thanks to our guests for sharing their insights.
For the next segment, we'll explore common misconceptions and set the record straight.
Welcome back to our podcast. The last segment, we introduced the issue of poor water quality and hygiene. In this segment, we're busting myths about water safety.
Misconceptions can be harmful, so let's set the record straight. Joining us are our same guests as before.
Let's start with some common myths. Aaron, what are some misconceptions you've come across?
I have 3 myths here. One myth is that boiling water is always safe. Another is that bottled water is always safer than tap water. Third is, people also believe that if water looks clear, it's clean. However, boiling water doesn't remove all contaminants like heavy metals, and bottled water isn't always safer than tap water. Also, clear water can still contain harmful pathogens.
That's a great point. It's important to remember that appearance isn't everything. It comes to water safety. Ben, what about you?
For me, some myths that I have acquired is some people think that washing hands with hot water is more effective than warm water. Another myth many believe is that rainwater is always safe to drink. However, warm water is just as effective for hand washing as hot water. Also, rainwater can be contaminated with pollutants from the air.
Zach, what are some misconceptions you've encountered?
One myth is that any water is better than the water. Another is that people who drink water become immune to effect. Lastly, some believe that desalination is cure all for water crisis. However, even if people seem immune, they can still spread diseases, and desalination has environmental drawbacks like high energy consumption and harsh marine life.
These are important to debunk. Even if people seem immune, they can still spread diseases. Well, what about you, Nian?
Some myths include the idea that tap water cannot contain pesticides and that bottled water doesn't contain microplastic. Another myth is that building toilets alone solves sanitation issues. However, tap water can contain amounts of pesticides, bottled water often contains microplastics, and building toilets is just one part of addressing sanitation. Proper waste management is also crucial.
It's clear that debunking these myths is essential for empowering water safety and hygiene practices.
Yes, education and awareness campaigns can help dispel these myths and promote better practices.
Encouraging critical thinking and questioning assumptions can also help people make more informed decisions about water safety.
Thanks to our guests for sharing these important misconceptions and debunking them. For the next segment of our podcast, we'll explore the human cost of poor hygiene.
Let's start with some personal stories and statistics. Aaron, can you share an experience or statistics that highlights the human cost of poor hygiene?
In many communities, Ryan, lack of access to basic sanitation facilities lead to open defecation, which contaminates water sources and causes diseases like cholera and diarrhea. This is not only results in significant mortality, but also impacts economic productivity due to loss of work hours.
That's a powerful example. The economic burden is substantial.
Well, what about you, Ben?
Poor hygiene is linked to over millions of deaths annually, with a significant portion due to diarrheal diseases. This affects not just individuals but entire communities. And as I said earlier, it delays economic growth and mostly education.
Zach, what are some stories or statistics you've come across?
In some low-income countries, hygiene poverty is a major affecting education and job opportunity. For instance, girls often miss school due to lack of menstrual hygiene skills, impacting their future prospects.
That's a critical point. Nian, what about you?
The emotional toll of poor hygiene should not be underestimated. Women and girls face risks of violence when seeking secluded areas for personal hygiene, and families suffer emotionally from preventable death.
It's essential to address these issues comprehensively, considering both physical and emotional impacts.
Now, let's discuss the broader impacts. Aaron, how does your hygiene affect communities beyond health?
So Ryan, poor hygiene leads to significant economic losses due to healthcare costs and lost productivity. It also perpetuates cycles of poverty by limiting access to education and job opportunities.
That's a crucial point. Economic stability is closely tied to any hygiene practices. Zach, how does technology play a role in improving hygiene?
Well, technology can provide innovative solutions like low-cost sanitation systems and mobile apps for hygiene education. These tools can reach remote communities and make a difference.
Technology can bridge many gaps in hygiene access.
But what about policy changes?
Policy changes are essential for ensuring that sanitation and hygiene are prioritized at a national level. This includes investing in infrastructure and promoting public awareness campaigns.
Policy support is crucial for sustaining long-term improvements in hygiene practices. What about the role of education in addressing these issues?
You see, education is vital in promoting hygiene practices. By teaching communities about it and about the importance of hand washing and proper sanitation, we can prevent many diseases and improve overall well-being.
Thanks to our guests again for sharing these important insights. It's clear that the human cause of poor hygiene is multifaceted, affecting health, economy, and social well-being.
And as we've discussed, addressing these issues requires a comprehensive approach that includes education, infrastructure development, and policy support. Next segment, we'll explore easy steps to better hygiene, providing actionable tips for improving hygiene practices in daily life.
Now we're done to the second to the last segment for this podcast, which are practical tips to better hygiene.
Let's begin with some practical tips. Aaron, what are some easy ways to improve hygiene?
One simple step is to always wash your hands with soap for at least 20 seconds, especially after using the bathroom and before eating. Another tip is to use water purification when unsure of water quality. Regularly cleaning water containers is also crucial to prevent contamination.
That's a great reminder. Hand washing is one of the most effective ways to prevent illness.
What about you, Ben?
Proper hand washing is key, but also ensuring that water is stored in a clean, covered containers can help prevent water to contaminate. Additionally, using solar disinfection by placing water in sunlight for 6 hours or more can be an effective method for purifying water.
That's a great point. Solar disinfection is a low-cost method that can be used in many settings.
Zach, what are some tips you'd like to share?
Regularly testing water quality can help identify potential issues early on. Also, promoting good hygiene practices in schools and communities can lead to long-term behavioral changes.
That's right. Education is key to sustaining these practices.
And what about you, Nian?
Encouraging the use of alcohol-based hand sanitizers when soap and water aren't available can help maintain hygiene. Additionally, ensuring that every household has access to clean water and sanitation facilities is essential for preventing diseases.
That's a crucial point. Access to basic sanitation is foundational for good hygiene.
Now, let's challenge ourselves. Alora, what new habit will you implement?
I'll make sure to wash my hands more frequently throughout the day, especially after interacting with my pets.
That's a great choice. I challenge myself to regularly check the water quality in my community and report any issues.
We'd love to hear from our listeners. Share with us your own tips and challenges in improving hygiene practices.
And as we continue on this journey, remember that every step counts. For the last segment of this podcast, we've prepared a short advocacy video for our viewers to remember how clean water is important. I hope you will be inspired after watching this.
We know that water is a basic human need, yet millions of people around the world struggle to access clean water every day.
Imagine the difference between someone who can easily turn on a tap and someone who has to walk miles just to find drinkable water.
But there are ways that we can help. Every effort brings difference. Let's appreciate the water we have and work towards a future where not one struggles for an essential need.
So, let's start with the scene where Aaron and I played you different students. Aaron, can you tell us more about the character's
Yeah,
experience?
my character wakes up early to take a bath but finds no water at home. I end up searching the community only to find people lining up for water. But by the time it's my turn, there's none left. It was really tough to go to school late and unwashed. This situation is all too common for many students around the world, and it not affects just the hygiene but also the self-esteem and the academic performance.
That's a powerful visual. It shows how lack of access to clean water affects daily life. It's not just about health, it's also about the dignity and opportunities. For instance, studies have shown that the lack of clean water can lead to poor academic performance and attendance rates. Students often miss school to fetch water or care for sick family members. Alora, you and Zach were part of the educational segment. Can you tell more about that?
We discussed practical steps to address water scarcity, like improving infrastructure and promoting water conservation. It's important to educate people on how they can make a difference.
That's right. Education is key to inspiring change. By understanding the impact of their action, people can make informed decisions about water use. Teaching students about water scarcity can inspire them to become advocates for sustainable water practice, which is crucial for mitigating future crises. Zach, what was it like filming the part where you're explaining the importance of water conservation?
It was actually great. For instance, I talked about how important it is to notice the difference between people who can easily turn on the tap and someone who would walk and search everywhere just to get water. By conserving water, we can ensure that more children have time and health to attend school regularly, which is essential for breaking the cycle of poverty.
Now, let's reflect on what we have learned from making this video. Aaron, what did you take away from this experience?
For me, it was an eye-opening to see how much of a difference to clean water can make in someone's life. It's not just about hygiene, it's about dignity and opportunities.
That's a great point. It's about more than just health.
What about you, Ben?
I realized how important it is to use storytelling to convey these messages. It makes the issue more relatable and personal, mostly to students.
That is so true. Stories have the power to inspire action.
Zach, what do you hope viewers to take away from this video?
I hope that they understand that everyone can contribute to the problem, whether it's conserving water or supporting guys that work on water action. Every action matters.
That's right. Collective action can lead to significant change.
Well, Nian, how do you think viewers can apply the lessons from this video?
Viewers can start by making small changes in their daily lives, like turning off the tap while brushing their teeth or supporting local initiatives that improve water access. They can also share this video by supporting and to raise awareness.
Thanks to everyone for sharing their insights on our advocacy video. It's clear that storytelling can be a powerful tool for raising awareness about water scarcity and inspiring action.
As we continue this conversation, remember that every voice matters. As we wrap up for this podcast, remember that together we can create a better world for all.